All right, shall we start?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Episode 1 of A Passionate Inquiry.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, which is the name given to by Xav. Look, I've got a bunch of questions just to keep us on track. But essentially, this is going to be as deep as you're willing to go dive into who the fuck you are.
Okay.
Probably shouldn't swear. Hey. So tell us the story. I think we both know. I certainly, but I think all humans think in stories.
Yeah.
So as much as you're willing to, tell the story of you and your life.
Wow, such a big question.
If you want to frame it in, I guess, a narrative, like a mythological, almost like the hero's journey. That's kind of an arc that everyone to some degree follows. And if you want to use that basis as where you put your things.
I mean, if I'm going to think about my journey, I don't know, I always think in terms of growth or how I've been growing at certain stages. So, I mean, of course, you grow when you're young. I mean, if I'm going to talk about my life, I'd almost talk about my life has been a hedge of protection up to 18, 19.
Okay.
Life.
Like a little bubble.
It was absolute bubble for me. It was always good, always happy. I grew up with a great family. We're well off, but I'm also actually loved. Parents are actually around, which is great. I've got that big tribe that I think some people are searching for. And my family, extended family, especially in Sydney, I've got cousins that I consider brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And then I think and then I went on this whole spiritual journey at around 19, 18. And that was exhilarating. It was oh my God, I found purpose or God and all this kind of stuff. And that was so intense, and you found the girl and you found everything, right? And then that all came crashing down. As it does.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to think of my life as a story, it's okay, you got the hedge of protection, and then you've got the rise, the quick rise, and then the fall.
Yep. Yeah.
And then deep fall, life gets really tough. And that knocked me around for at least 4 years.
Wow. That basically takes us to present day.
That takes us to present. So that was, I reckon there's never a point where you're over things. I think you're still just I'm always still learning and looking back. But I wouldn't, and this is a weird way to say, I wouldn't say I was myself for at least 3 years.
After that.
I was mentally things were so tough. But we did I grew out of that. Again, that growth journey, it's almost everything that grew from that hedge of protection to that spark up got cut down. Almost I think of this the stock market. If you rise steady, it's okay, but if it rises too quickly, it'll just smack back.
Yeah.
So it did. But then
and all the bad companies fail.
All the bad companies
fail. The good
fail.
companies. Yeah.
Right. So the bad companies, gone. Whether that's people, habits, mindsets, all that kind of stuff went. Beliefs is a huge one actually. Beliefs have changed so much. And then, now I'm at present day and now so much stronger and smarter or emotionally so much better. It's so good. It's so good. But there's still things that I'm overcoming.
Of course.
I'll let you know, recently I saw a psychologist and that was because, firstly, I was listening to this podcast. I forgot who did it. And he was just talking about getting coaches in your life.
Yeah.
And I'm done. Where do I need my coaches the most? First, was my physical health. Because I want to do a marathon and I want to do heaps of stuff. But yeah, the second was a psychological coach. Because I think of in my head, I go get a checkup for a dentist, but I don't get a checkup for my mindsets. It's way more important.
Yeah, that's true.
So getting that done and trying to figure out like, because I think I have this cycle of like putting everything into things and just sending it so hard, whether it's work, whether it was a girlfriend, whether it was, you know, just going adventuring, like I will put everything into it. And I feel like that is what leads to the boom bust cycle.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to discover why that was happening in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he gave me a couple of valuable things. I don't know if I'm going to go see that guy again.
But even the intent to go must just, as you say, kind of suddenly I realize I'm prioritizing this and I think of this a lot more seriously. Maybe not from his words or her words, but from your own thought patterns. Has there been any revelations from that process?
I think kind of what you said, like just the intent was probably one of the greatest things for me.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? The one revelation that I kind of got, and it wasn't really anything he said, I guess. He actually just asked me what your story is, just like we're doing right now. And if it wasn't for that chat...
So how much did he charge?
Yeah. Damn. No, so he asked me what my story is, and I'd never... Honestly, I don't think I've ever had many people that sat down, asked me what my story is and just let me talk.
Yeah.
And that's what you were saying, podcast is like free therapy. Like,
Yeah.
I've kind of never had that experience.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm always so like outgoing and like I love to hear other people's...
You're the one who asked those questions.
Yeah, I'm asking the questions, but like it's just because I'm genuinely curious and I want to know. But often meeting someone that's as genuinely curious and probably more like asking me the questions is tough. You know, so I haven't really spoken about those things. I mean, to you, I've talked about a lot actually.
Yeah.
Gus, I would talk about a lot too.
Yeah.
And so do my sister. They're probably the people that get involved. But just because you guys were genuinely curious. You
Okay,
know?
there's a lot to unpack there, and I've already got a few questions that I kind of anticipated.
Okay.
But since we're like right here already, you are the king in my eyes of small talk.
Okay.
like for context, hitchhiking around France, and you meet just the whole world in that kind of context, right?
Yeah.
And I really like, as you say, getting curious and deep with people, but I'm pretty picky about the people that I want to get curious because it's a huge energy dump, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if you're just some whatever, like I mean, everyone deserves someone being curious about them, but that's not me. Right?
Yeah.
So like I thought it worked perfectly because you were just so outgoing, so willing to like break the ice with every single person in the room or in the side of the highway or wherever we are.
Yeah.
And then like, I'm just kind of there and I tune in. And if you're still talking to someone for 2 minutes and then I tune in and it's somewhat interesting, that's my kind of window to go in, right? I personally found that so valuable because I know that I can really deeply connect with people pretty quickly, but I don't have the ability to just like give everyone the initial shot and then shut it down. Like, you do. So I guess, where does that come from? What's the advice maybe for someone who wants to be like more kind of just able to make those small little surface level connections, which you're kind of mining through, sifting, where should I actually deeply go here? Because I think I think everyone like, you know, has a sense of, if I really like this person, when they get to know me, I'm amazing, get deeper. But,
yeah, of course.
But it's like because everyone's special and unique and like has a divine touch, you know, everyone's like that. But I guess most people limit themselves by their ability to show themselves on that surface level and be interested in people on that surface level. And how do you do that?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there's so many ways to answer this.
Yeah, choose one.
I mean, generally when I'm talking to someone, like I'm already thinking of like what I want to know about you. It's not really about me. And I think that in most like social settings, if you're focusing on yourself, you're already kind of screwed. Because you're already nervous or you're already... Because you're still thinking about your flaws and thinking about whatever. I have zero inhibition almost.
Yeah.
Because I just never think about myself.
I mean, I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah. Like I just like don't care about what they're thinking about me or what I'm up to. Like, you know, when you're hitchhiking, you're a raggedy doll.
Yeah.
Like, you're gross. Like, my beard was disgusting. We probably smelt a bit off, but like to us, we probably smelt fine.
Sleeping
you
in
know,
the
like
bush and-
you don't know, you know, the smell of your own scent. Like, but I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking, like, who am I going to meet?
Yeah. So I get that. And I guess where my mind goes is I can tap into that, but then I usually, okay, what do I want to learn from you? And I bring some preconceived judgments, or like, you know, I'm trying to push it in one way. So based on how they look or how they talk or what their initial story is, I'm like, surely this is here. And sometimes it is, and it's great, but often it's not. And I guess I struggle with maybe letting the story unfold in front of my eyes, right? And because it is so quick and because there's so many people, I want to be more like, I think you're going to have this, so I'm going to try to grab that out straight away. And it can be quite confronting, I think.
Well, yeah, as well, like, I mean, being curious and finding things about someone, interesting. Like, there's like you're gaining as well, but like going in with it with the idea that there's nothing to gain is also pretty good.
Okay.
Like, I'm not like talking to people because I want to gain.
You know?
You know, like I'm not trying to like learn all the time, or like, I mean, you're not either, but I think it's just more like I just really love people as well. Like, it's a really deep rooted care. I don't know if you've heard like the term agape love, like that all encompassing.
That's a
Greek.
There's a few types of love.
Yeah, the few types of love, and then there's the agape love, which is like that love with no strings attached. It's just like
wholesome.
It's just like, yeah, it's very wholesome.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like, I just want to get to know you. Like, let's just chat. Like, I don't really care where this goes. I don't really care if you tell me something amazing, if you're dry.
Yeah.
And I do also think it's kind of like a game.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fun. And I like playing games. So like, if I can like crack this egg, I'm going to crack it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm going to like, you're giving me nothing back. There's something to you.
Yeah.
You know, and you're coming with all this, but I can figure this out, you know? So like, I'm going to get under there.
So you just have a deep appreciation for humans, I think.
Pretty much.
And I think I'm glad we dug a bit there, because I think that's the key thing. I think like for most people have maybe, like, I'm just going to throw something out, maybe haven't had that bubble of a upbringing and stuff like this. It hasn't been all kind of positivity. So I think a lot of people will probably attach, you know, negative connotations with certain groups of people, certain this and that, and they'll funnel like, okay, these people maybe have been associated with pain in my past, so I'll give it all to this kind of person, but then everyone else can get lost.
Yeah.
And I think maybe, I'm sure you haven't not had stuff like that go on, but you just haven't been willing to let it affect how you go into the future to new people. Because I think that, that sense of like unbounding appreciation and love and respect for each individual is very rare.
Yeah.
But I think that's what fundamentally is driving your ability in that sense. Does that sound fair?
I was thinking about it as you were saying it as well. And I think, 100% true, really. I do love people. Like, that's I'm not denying that. I do want that to actually be a central theme of my life, because I think that's a really beautiful way to live. But also, like, because you said about like when I grew up, and I'm thinking about the people that I've been surrounded with my whole life, and everyone's extremely welcoming to me, you know? So like my family, I was always, when I went to Sydney and, you know, I'd go see my cousins and they'd just welcome me, and it's always like I'm always being embraced, you know? And that is just like, I just treat people like that.
You give them that verbal embrace.
Yeah. So I think even more so than the like general like love thing, which is true.
Yeah.
I think that is really founded on like my childhood and like who I grew up around. So like, and like one of the things I love doing is making people feel really welcome.
Yeah.
Always, like, let's say if I'm in a group setting, I'm always looking for the person that's not in a conversation.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
It's a selfless act.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell you what, Millie is very like this as well.
Yeah.
Because both of you, I think, had such a nurturing, strong family setup. And I'd see myself and I'm like, I definitely have the capacity for that. But as I say, I'm a lot less willing to just give it unending, because I feel it's a limited supply. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking now, like, it's probably just a projection. And I can find in my own head, not wanting to be, and I try to fight it, but like quite judgmental and all this stuff. That's probably also that same sword I also wield onto myself.
Yeah.
And we could get into the depths, into the weeds there. But I guess that's something that you maybe haven't had your family onto you, so then it's not you onto you, so then it's not you onto others.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I think, to take, I probably wouldn't take credit for this feature of me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like almost like the hose and the water's passing through me.
Yeah,
like
cool.
It's been given and now it's just, going to someone else.
And I guess because you're a smart dude and you can psychoanalyze yourself in a certain sense, for most of the world's population, which don't have such a clean hose.
Yeah.
What if you were like rewire what you actually do? Do you have any like advice or actionable items, thought patterns, processes that might help someone slightly move some shit out of their hose?
That's great. The way I like to think about my life, just to as a preface to that, is I'm like I don't know if you ever did the experiment when you were in like year 4, and you got all the rocks and you put them in a bottle. Right, and you put the big rocks at the bottom, smaller rocks, I think it was actually the other way around, big rocks, smaller rocks, smaller rocks. No, and you put dirty water in it and out the other side it comes clean. It's like in life, like there will be some things, like my family's not perfect in every regard. Yeah. Yes, maybe we've got the welcoming thing, but there's definitely some other things that have gone on, right? That's a bit of dirty water. Yeah. And seeing that dirty water and like filtering it to be like, no, I'm going to produce clean water. Like good things will come out of me. Yeah. So for like if you've
what are the filters? What are the rocks?
Yeah, that's So if we're gonna go into that, then like where would I start with someone that doesn't have that capacity? Well, not capacity. They do. I reckon everyone will have the capacity for that.
The capacity, just like not actually living it out day to day. Like you go to a party and you maybe like give that offering to one person, but then, depending on if it succeeded or failed, you kind of don't have the mental strength and energy
to try again
and keep on going, It's almost like love resilience.
I think the way to build this in your life is to start with the people closest to you. Yeah. You don't need to start with strangers.
Yeah, cool.
So often the people closest to you are the hardest people to connect with, because you've already got your preconceived ideas of them. Yeah. You've already okay, this is how this person acts. This is what this person does. I'm going to love them in this way, and I'm going to approach this situation in this way. Like you're instantly limiting yourself to your ability to connect with someone.
Yeah.
So the hardest person to generally connect with is actually your mother, your brother, your sister. Yeah. Your mother's overly mothering.
Yeah.
She's always caring. I mean, I realized at a young age, I was like, my mum's just trying to love me.
Yeah.
Am I going to accept this, or am I going to constantly fight back being that young, buccaneering person? No. And how does this relate? It's just taking those filters off so you can just love someone and connect with them. So
I'm going to have to rewatch this segment a little bit, to be honest. Yeah.
And what this is I think where this is so important is being really honest with yourself. 99 times out of 100, it's you putting this limitation forward, not your family.
Of course.
Yes, there may be abuse there. There may be, I don't know, your parents could have done incredibly bad things to you, your brothers, sisters, you could still be fighting over money. You could still be whatever it is. Everyone's got family issues. My family has had all of or some of these issues. How do you get past it? I mean, you've got to, I think the way that you repair any relationship is through forgiveness. Yeah. It's not through, what's the word? Retribution.
Yeah. It's a nice one.
Yeah. You gotta forgive, and then start layering back those filters of who this person is, because you can always discover more about someone. Yeah. Right. And then through that, you're going to be okay, this general curiosity. And another way you can get this in your life is practicing loving kindness meditation. Yeah. I haven't started this myself. Okay. I don't think I was going to say I don't think I need it too much. I want to do it because I really want to build that muscle. It's something I've been thinking on, building my loving kindness, because doing all this like work stuff and building all this monetary gain to what end? Like, I want to be generous, you know? I want to build that loving kindness through me. So I think this meditation or like doing stuff like that is really important. Trying to think, I've been reading a book called The Joy of Living. It's absolutely fantastic. There is a part on it that it talks all about meditation and its benefits, and I love meditation. But that loving kindness that meditation will show you how to love people.
Okay.
Doing that practice. So that's another rock.
So, I think that's a great place. Yeah, great few steps to start from. Like, keep it close to home. It's on you.
Yeah.
And like, okay, maybe we can try out this meditation thing. That's probably a mindset shift. I'm just going to quickly clap that and just make sure it's still recording. What it seems to be.
Okay.
Alrighty. And then you had a few, for someone who doesn't know and maybe briefly kind of passed by their ears, that little spiritual journey you had.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of this clarity has probably come from out of obviously your upbringing, but then like kind of cemented into who you are straight away as soon as you hit the adult world. Like, what was that? What's your relationship with spirituality, religion? What went down?
Wow, big question.
Yeah. And again, go as deep as you care to.
I mean,
there's every chance a million people are going to watch this, you know.
Sorry. If we're going to take this a step back just to our prior thing.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways to get, to like drop that fear factor of like thinking about me is being an open book. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm so happy to share everything with you.
Yeah.
Like, and go as deep as possible.
Cool.
So even from a leadership point of view, I think vulnerability is one of the best ways to connect and ultimately influence the people around you. So if you can't be vulnerable, like you're just missing out so much.
Yeah. It's not real strength.
It's just like I'm so awesome. And then you end up making people around you feel insignificant or not able.
Yeah.
But that's just like, I think vulnerability is such a great way to connect. So to segue,
please.
Happy to talk about everything. So where do we start?
So what actually we're talking a Christian journey.
A Christian journey.
Yeah. So like,
I'm trying to think where I started.
Yeah, where you?
You know, I was around 17, and I was just starting to go to church. Mm-hmm. My dad was started to go to, because he's always been Christian. My mum's been like Christian Catholic. Yeah. My dad's like, okay, like these guys are watching Geordie Shore. You know, that's not okay.
Yeah, okay. You and your mum.
Oh, my mum and my sister.
Yeah.
My family's lost. You know, they need to find God. So I was like,
so it was actually like from the head of the house.
Yeah, but he didn't say that to me.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you should come to this new church. So he tried to find a church, found one, and then called Lifehouse Church. Brilliant place. And then, I started going. And the first thing they talk about is like God and finances. You know, that's the first sermon. And I'm like, interesting. God cares about your finances? What? I thought you meant to be poor if you were Christian. What's the go here? And then learning the traits and characteristics of this like God that I'd never thought that was. I thought that were completely two different characters. I thought it was like some fictitious being like that, like dumb people believed in. Yeah. No, like that's genuinely what I thought. Like, because like it doesn't make any logical sense. But then hearing this sermon, hearing this sermon, I'm like, whoa. Or maybe not just logic, reason.
Yeah. So this is the first sermon's kind of blowing your mind to a certain degree.
Yeah. And like, you know, the pastor asks you like, do you want to accept God in your heart? I'm like, yeah, buddy.
Oh, really? Yeah. Straight away, you're sold.
First sermon.
The best salesmen are the easiest to sell to as well.
Yeah, it's true. Mind you, that pastor, like he was a salesman in his past life. Like he was unreal. Like unreal. Like the way he delivered sermons was impeccable.
Yeah.
I still look up to him to this day, the way he was a leader, the way he like delivered and like delivered his, not speeches, sermons and presented himself as a person, I think he's a great human, like a fantastic human. Yep. But anyways, yeah, so if you're inclined for that
what
kind
was
of
the
stuff.
church called?
Yeah, Lifehouse Church.
Lifehouse.
Yeah, and Richard Kabakian's the senior pastor.
Richard Kabakian, old Dickie boy.
Yeah. Richard. And then, yeah, so then I did that, and then like I didn't go for a couple of weeks. I had soccer, you know, that just happened to be the 1 week I didn't have the soccer on. And
Yeah.
then I went to a couple of these and started really liking them after the soccer season. And then I started like, I mean, what I did was I just picked up my Bible every morning and read it for half an hour.
Did you you must, as a 17-year-old, very like, as you say, very locked into logic and reason, and probably like, maybe not you, but a bit like socially aware of where you're going. Like, I don't think most 17-year-olds, even if they might have felt in the back of their head, oh, I really like what this guy's saying, but what are my friends going to think? And like, you know, I would rather scroll my phone or play video games than read the bloody Bible for half an hour based on one sermon. Like, what?
Yeah. So if we go back to the thing, like, I don't care what people think of me.
Yeah.
Or like, I care about people.
Well, I guess maybe because your family's always been so good that you don't need the rest of the world.
Nah.
Because you've got this little tribe.
Oh, that's what I say. Like, the people that can hurt me most is my family.
Yeah.
Because if they say or do things, that's going to really impact me.
Yeah.
Some bloke on the side of the road, I don't care. I'm just trying to get to know you.
Even at school as well. Like.
No, even at school, like, if I was Christian and I ended up being, I was like, told everyone, like, I don't care if that wrecks my social standing.
Yeah.
Like, it's you for being judgmental.
Yeah.
It's not on me.
Very logical.
Very logical.
Yeah, the hormonal teenage brain.
I have never had the hormonal teenage brain. Like,
Maybe it's coming.
Oh my God, work? No. No. I don't know. Like, people would like give me stick for it as well, actually, now that I think back to it. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just such a reflection of them. Like, that's instantly where my mind goes. I'm instantly like, what have you been eating? Like, what's your freaking, you know, because like, for example, some people like, they'll joke, they'll say, haha, like, you know, you're a pastor or whatever, like, don't you want to kill yourself? I'm like, you're probably the person that wants to kill yourself.
Brutal.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Like, just crazy shit. I'm like, I wasn't a pastor. You're the church person. Like, I ain't just judged by God.
Church boy.
I'm like, yeah, but you're probably feeling the judgment in your own mind.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so didn't care. I went sending, right, full into it.
Yeah.
Just every morning, reading my Bible. And honestly, like, if anyone was to go on the Christian journey, would 100% recommend to read your Bible.
Yeah.
Don't just go listen to heaps of sermons and whatevers. And I mean, it's great. You know, get involved in a community that's so important and critical for anyone.
Yeah.
But like, just really getting into the Word of God is a beautiful thing.
So have you read it cover to cover?
No.
No.
Oh, I've reread sections.
Yeah.
A lot of the Bibles, like, especially some of the Old Testament, it's pretty intense.
Yeah. I think I've read Genesis 10 times now with these big ambitions of reading it cover to cover. And
but
fuck.
Genesis is like, if you're stopping at Genesis, like, you're not going to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because like, not just to the length, like you get to like Numbers in Kings and you're like...
Oh, I skipped those. I remember those from ancient Greek and I was like, no, you skip those like list of the army of like this many thousand people from this island. That's like, what?
But like, you get, like, and this is the Bible though, like you got to read the whole thing. Word for word. Like, that's my belief.
Even like 3,802
read it.
Ships from...
Read it. It's important. Because it's either the whole thing's important or throw it out. That's my view. Like...
Yeah.
But that's for someone that wants to believe in God wholeheartedly. For someone that's just looking to learn about, you know, principles, beliefs, values, you can skip things. Yeah. Definitely skip Kings or, you know, Deuteronomy I actually loved.
Yeah.
I actually liked reading the law.
Yeah.
Because that just gives you a very good view of the culture.
Is that 10 Commandments, Deuteronomy?
I think the 10 Commandments are in the chapter before.
Okay, yeah. I don't know.
Or maybe they're Deuteronomy 10. I can't remember.
Not sure.
But yeah, that's like you got Numbers and Deuteronomy, and so much law. But then there's like the book of Joshua.
It's pretty cool though, because our whole society, whole civilization has been building buildings and making legal codes, and countries aren't a thing, they're just made up. So everything's made up. And this whole society that we live in, and a lot of people I think increasingly have kind of friction against. But it was built on that book. Like that is literally like the constitution of Western civilization.
Yeah. Yep.
So like kind of, you know, like everyone's culturally Christian whether they like it or not, you know, because you go to somewhere else it's not. You go to China, you go to like West Africa or something, and like just things like rights and wrongs, like good and bad has a different fundamental definition, which is the most cool thing for me. It's like, it's worth your time, and I've always said this to myself, maybe not enacted it so well. It's worth your time getting to grips with that.
Yeah, it does have so much importance in our culture.
Yeah.
Day to day.
It's literally the backbone.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it's just so complicated because like it is the backbone, but like one thing I realized being the church is that, you know, like everyone's got such a subjective view of the Bible. Yeah. Incredibly subjective. But like there's this inherent belief with most people that they've, like, I think people believe they're so much more objective than they actually are.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, because you think, like, people are like, oh yeah, we all believe the same thing. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I don't care if your brother is sitting right next to you, you've read every page at the same time throughout your whole life. You guys still probably believe something different.
Yeah.
Whether it's a dogma or a scripture or it's an opinion, or because there's the levels of belief, like, you're going to believe something different.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I realized after the church.
Okay.
Because I had this burning passion for this objective, what I believed to be like objectivity. Like God is the objective truth.
Okay.
And like everything must be his way, done his way, or like the Bible is true in every regard. And I was like, I really realized it's like, even if the Bible was true in every regard, everyone's technically living falsely.
Would you, because my pretty surface level understanding of a few religions, Christianity, like, kind of built into it has this like looseness about it, this like willingness to bend, like, you know, yes, the Bible is truth, but this maybe doesn't fit in the context of our day, because it's, what would Jesus have done? You can always kind of like rely on this figure of Jesus, and like he kind of overrides, because he's direct path to God more than the Bible is. So it's like, what would he have done? And that's how you can kind of be subjective about it. Islam, on the other hand, is like, no, like the Quran is it. Yeah, that's like the full stop. So would you have been maybe more attracted to even that, but maybe broken out of it even like stronger? Like,
and I do reflect on this, like as a young, impressionable 17-year-old, I think whatever religion presented it to me at the time and proposed to be the way, I would have gone down fully.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that's something I realized. So like, because like you think like, okay, if let's say Christianity is the way, what about that young 17-year-old boy?
Yeah.
Or like, remember that podcast listening about the caliphate?
Yeah,
right.
That was wild,
this young, impressionable guy, just getting like, he's a bit lost, or like a bit like, starting to kind of ask the questions about life and all that kind of stuff. And then there's this proposal, like, this is the way. All these brothers believe in it. Like, we're all united front. And, you know, I've never seen so many people gathered together and believe something like this must be it.
Yeah.
So you go into that and you start reading every day. It's exactly what he did. It's exactly what I did. It's exactly what other 17-year-old guys and girls, or younger or older, are doing right now.
Yeah.
Like figuring out their beliefs and like looking to what's around them. And like, to me, it was Christianity presented itself. And so you go down this like freaking journey of like going harder and deeper and deeper. And, you know, you go all the way, you give everything. And that's the thing I felt at the end, is like, I feel like I'm just spiritual. You know? Okay. Like there's no normal part of me anymore. Like if there was a spiritual plane, Xavier would be there and he wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? So like, I completely lost myself trying to find what
your
I
eternal
thought.
soul.
Yeah. And that wrecked me. because like I felt like I had nothing left. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I lost everything, especially when I turned away from God, in particular.
Because then you've literally like you've destroyed all your material stuff. You're only left with the eternal soul, and then you say bye to that to go back to the material world. So now in the middle part,
Nothing.
you have literally zero.
I didn't see any of my friends for like probably like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, except Gus. I still
Yeah.
kept in contact because like we'd go riding together.
Yeah.
But still, even that relationship wasn't as strong as it would have been. Like, I can't, like, I've always had heaps of friends, so I had like hardly
You had a
any of those.
girlfriend in this time, didn't you?
Oh yeah, had the girlfriend, but I broke up about a couple months, or it was like in and out for a while there.
She was going on a similar journey, like.
She was going on a similar journey too.
Yeah.
She had whole other issues
Yeah.
going on with her that I was like trying to deal with as well. I was like the most, like, I wasn't connecting with any of my family like at that time. Like, me and my mum were at odds. She hated my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I didn't like my girlfriend, and that caused a whole drama.
Yeah.
I'd only ever speak about God, so Bianca was like, "Wow, this guy's weird." Like, you know, like, it's all he talks about.
That's mental.
Even my dad was a Christian. He's like, "You're full on." Like, because I wasn't going to go to uni, and I wasn't going to study. And my dad was like, "How could you? Like, you're tossing away your whole career." Like, so I wasn't going to do any of that either. So like, I was at odds with my family. My extended family, was always about God and Jesus as well. So they were like, some people were in with it, some people were out with it, but like I wasn't connected with any of them. Then we turned around from God, didn't see the church. So like, it was kind of just me.
How long is this period of like just you reckon?
Because, COVID hit at this time.
Wow. Yeah.
So like,
Really loading it onto yourself.
yeah. So I signed up to uni the day of the registrations.
Okay.
If I missed that, I wouldn't have gone to Melbourne Uni.
Yeah.
Because I deferred for ages and whatever.
What year did you graduate?
2018.
Okay, so it was only a year off, like one gap year. Like,
One gap year.
yeah.
Yeah. But like, I didn't apply for anything, and like the last day to accept your place was on that day.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
lucky the internet was working. There's that. And then, so then COVID hit. So it was just uni, I guess.
Yeah.
And look, this is more of a gradual transition, especially from the God stuff. Like I was at the start of uni, like I was still doing my chaplaincy course because I was becoming a chaplain.
Okay.
But like being like, now I'd be going to lectures and like be so anxious to my core. Like I wanted to throw up at every moment of every day for about a year.
Because I would have met you at the end of that year, and that was definitely not where we met, I think.
I was still in a terrible mental place when I met you.
Really?
You probably didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's because, again, like I'm not going to tell everyone my issues.
Yeah.
My close friends and family, I'll let them know.
Yeah.
But not everyone needs to know.
No.
And I still want to be outgoing and caring. One thing I realized actually going through everything was that one of my friends from church, actually, who's still a friend today, like he taught me that like hurt people hurt others, or hurt people hurt people. Probably a lot of people heard that before.
Yeah.
But I'd never realized it until I was really hurt.
Yeah.
And I wanted to lash out.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to like, there's everything inside of me wanted to get this out of me, but I just knew that wasn't the way to help myself.
I'm going to keep this within, and like turning lead to gold, you know, make this my strength. Like,
I told myself that like every day, like this is going to be so good for you. This is what's going to make you great. This is you're going to give beautiful things to the world from this pain that you're experiencing right now. You've got this. You can do this. But then like that would be for a minute.
Yeah.
Then for the next 20 minutes, it's like, my life sucks. I hate this. I'm in so much pain. I can't escape. Like it's this huge narrative that got built in my life that I had to unwind.
And I guess with you not wanting to take credit, and I'm sure your family and everything was great and blah, 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 but what did you do? Was it just that self-talk, or were there other actionable items?
No, it was so much stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was a really dark time in my life. Like that was so painful. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone.
Yeah.
Like, and I realized it took me about 6 months to realize I was actually anxious. I just thought God hated me. Remember, I'm just escaping this spiritual world.
Yeah.
Or like getting my mind out of this. I thought like I was cursed.
Yeah.
At that time, I was reading the story of Saul as well.
Right, okay.
So like,
So you're still reading the Bible and stuff?
I was still reading, like, it's a gradual process out of this, and then like this transformation. So like, I'm just like trying to de-spiritualize, or like going through that whole process, going through the process of saying, God, I don't think you're real.
Ah, okay. So that's where you're at now.
Well, still, that's still, it's
Is
still
it God? Do you have to go to many extremes, or can you like kind of have your feet in two baskets?
No, I mean, yeah, you definitely can. You can explore, but like I had to say no. I had to
So
like
taking my whole being.
Yeah, I had to like, I don't know, like, because again, I said earlier, like beliefs are so incredibly important. The reason I ended up so anxious, it was actually because of my beliefs.
Yeah.
It's what I think and what I think I know to be true.
Yeah.
So throughout this process, realizing that you don't actually, like, you know so little, your beliefs are like 99 times out of 10 could be incorrect. You've got to test it again.
Yeah.
You've got to retry and reform your belief. And that was a fundamental like belief I ingrained in myself pretty quickly. So, and that was like a sword you could kind of wield at like these thoughts and things that I thought to be true.
Yeah.
Because then it allowed me to test it again, and allowed me to grow, and allowed me to, over years. So still to this day, as soon as I see someone incredibly passionate and like, this is the way, and like, you have to do this and blah, blah, blah. A lot of people do it. Like, I was having a discussion with one of my friends actually about like Aboriginal rights.
Yeah.
And she was like, we have to give all the land back, or like, we have to like do all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I instantly think, I'm like, you haven't tested this out.
Yeah, okay.
Not because it's not good, or like because you're not coming from a good place, but you're so incredibly passionate that you are undoubtedly pushing away credible ideas and thoughts.
So I think what's happening there is extreme passion in that sense can only survive in an abstract plane.
Or in ignorance.
Well, but like, it can only survive in the abstract. In reality, when you bring it down to earth and it's not up in the clouds, you find so many other factors and things happening that it must be nuanced to survive in like the surface. But if it's up in the clouds, it can be pure.
Yeah.
I think that's why, and I don't disclude myself in this at all.
Yeah.
I think why it's so attractive to think about things in the clouds, whether it's a religion, whether it's a political thing, whether it's a way you live your life. It's up in the clouds.
Yep.
It can remain pure, a dream. And as soon as you start to bring it down to earth, I mean, it gets dirty.
Oh, and that's the process I kind of went through for years with all thoughts and beliefs.
Yeah.
Because I would not stop, and I'm still not stopping because I love growth. Like I so like attacking every one of these things with like the full force of like, I know you're a dream. I'm not uncomfortable to bring you to reality.
Yeah.
I know I want to believe this, and I know like it, but like there's like those two levels of honesty. It's being honest with others, but then being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Being honest with yourself is so much harder.
Yeah.
Because like
you're the easiest one to fool.
Oh, it's so easy to fool yourself.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just be like, I love this. Like, I don't want to say lie, because it's not really lying yourself. You're just believing and dreaming.
Exactly. I love this naivety.
Yeah. And I love naivety. Yeah. Like I've got naivety in like my business, or like my, my work, and like my friends. And
you
like,
have to balance that.
Like I've got these beliefs for people, and I'm probably going to fuck up, or it's probably going to be wrong.
Yeah.
But like you got to be able to test some of that stuff. You got to be able to like.
So, because I think it's a really interesting point you make, because I think at least I see, and I get a bit judgmental about a lot of people, because I think a lot of people bring things down to earth too much, because it makes them, well, now it's down at earth, it's shit, right? But then I think actually a lot of people, and again, me included, like hold one or two things in the clouds and then just destroy everything else and bring it down. Okay. But you're not willing to like one or two things that are always in the clouds. I guess what you're saying is that you're a bit more egalitarian with it. It's like, I'm going to bring everything from the clouds down, right? Because what I mean by this is like, I think a lot of people might believe a love story, a political view or something, right? And they just hold that in the clouds forever. But then because like, you know, their life, the world doesn't work around that, then they start to destroy everything else. So they get really like embittered and kind of tunneled into one, you know, dream. Does that make sense?
I think I agree. Or maybe I don't. I think we're putting now hope and faith into this mix as well, or mainly hope. And like, because like hope's like that stuff that like, if you can't see it, you just gotta believe it. Like, it's just like, so like slight ignorance is okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, going back to the thing, like it's the principle of accepting that you don't know, not having to know everything.
No. Yeah.
So like, we don't have to crush all our dreams.
Yes.
To get to know everything. I think that's actually, I think you highlighted this to me, but it was, I think, from Plato or something like that. It's like, a life unexamined is a life not worth living.
Yes.
I don't really agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Socrates. I don't think I agree with that.
Well, the guy ended up committing suicide at the end of it.
I was about to say
and having the whole of Athens want to kill him.
Because a constant examination is constantly like cutting the hope out of everything. Like you have to just be, I think, have the awareness or the presence to just be like, okay, I accept the fact that I don't know what I don't know. Yeah. I've accepted that. I've accepted in some places I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to make mistakes. This is all going to happen. Let's just go. Like, let's just hope for good things in my life.
Walk blindly anyway.
Yeah.
Just because I'm blind doesn't mean I stop walking.
It doesn't, just go. So like, a lot of those dreams and ambitions, I'm 100% going for a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like current, I might be buying my first property.
Yeah.
Right? There's some things I'm like, I don't really know if that's perfect yet. I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm just going to go. I might fail. I could become bankrupt. Like, there's a chance. Because like, I'm pushing the limits here. But like...
But you're what, 24, so...
Well,
this is the time to do it.
If I go bankrupt, I'm 26. Like, I'll work it up again.
Exactly.
Like, I'm really not... I actually thought this through the other day. I'm like, I don't think I'm that nervous.
Yeah,
Even if I completely...
It's funny because I've got a similar thing. A bit of a leap, those leaps of faith. I mean, I feel if I look back at my own story, you know, a lot of them, and they've always been worth it. And maybe, you do it initially. I was saying this last night. You do it initially and you have an idea of how it's going to be worth it. It's usually completely different. But it's still worth it. You just didn't know how it was going to be worth it because you were blind and you had to jump and you had to keep on walking anyway.
So I think let's like bind this together then. Yeah. I think the judgment criteria of like how to, when do we walk blind or when is something a limiting belief? How is it working for you or against you? And how is it working for others and against others?
Yeah, because you don't want to be the permanent dreamer and you don't want to be like the really pessimistic realist.
Correct.
Right? So the way to bridge that gap, the way to toe that line is to see actually how is it affecting my well-being and those around me.
Correct.
Cool.
Correct. And well, that's how I do it. And sometimes I'm going to be honest, like some things that are like in discussion, in debate, I don't really know if they're good or bad on balance. Yeah. Like, for example, if we're going to it's all those political debates that are like, is like gender neutrality or gender, is it good or bad? I'm like, I have no idea. Yeah. Like some people attack that, be like, how could you not? Yeah. Or like, you're an idiot. Like, of course it's bad. But like, I just think you're like limiting your belief here. Yeah. Like, I don't think you actually really know. Yeah. And if I poke deeper, you've probably asked questions that, you probably haven't asked yourself questions yet. So just take a step back, right?
And humility.
Yeah. Like, be a bit humble. You don't know everything. Yeah. But look, if that's your fight, I guess, and that's your like drive, go for it.
Well, I think that's what I was meaning before, people holding one or two things and then disregarding everything else. Like, there's a lot of people I see that hold very strong political beliefs and will, attack people who don't. But then like the rest of their life is crumbling. Don't no good relationship, no good money, no good, health, no good anything. But because you're so strong on this, you're like allowed to let everything else go. And it's like, that seems like a bad strategy.
I mean, I definitely did that strategy with the whole church thing, the whole religion thing.
Interesting.
But But yeah.
Cool. So what's your, well, we kind of delved into your relationship with religion. What's your relationship with like intimate partners, romantic stuff?
Oh, good question.
How is it now? What's the stories you have in the mindsets? And
This was so tough for ages for me. I don't know why. As a young person, I always put so much pressure on like girls.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I'd be like, oh, how many hookups did I get at that party, or kisses, or whatever it is when I was a kid. Just an idiot.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I just felt this social pressure of always like performing there. And then, I mean, that led to a bit of anxiousness around that whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's the only like people connection or person connection that I was ever nervous about.
Yeah.
And then there was the girlfriend. And that was like really damaging, that relationship. Like, I don't want to talk bad about her. She's actually a good person. And I do fundamentally believe that. But like, she had so much trauma as a child. Like, and she went through so much stuff. And like she's actually the one that taught me about the layers of honesty.
Yeah,
so I thought she was being honest with me, but she was actually lying to herself plainly.
Right.
And I could see it.
So she's like lying to herself, and then based on that fundamentally lying reality, she's telling the truth to you, but it's not her telling the truth. It's this fictitious character she's made up.
Yeah, correct.
That's hard for you to, because you're looking at this.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah, you're looking at, that's wild, isn't it?
But like I realized, because I'd see her like over like an hour. It took ages to be like, no, Xavier's right. Or like, this is right. This way, like I've got to say sorry or do something or whatever. And I was like, okay, like you're just coming to terms with this with yourself.
Yeah.
Where me,
you'd been watching these two almost like...
she's fighting herself.
Yeah.
And from that, I realized I'm like, oh wow, I can distance myself from this.
Yeah.
This is her.
Yeah.
If she's going through this, all this emotional stuff, like, you go.
Yeah.
But that made me realize, okay, we don't want that in a partner.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want to say this, but like emotionally, like I was so much healthier.
Yeah.
And like I was probably a better carer, or like in that sense loving, that I didn't really receive back.
Yeah.
And realizing like, okay, like I should actually be loved at least to the standard that I'm loving, or not to the standard, but like I just want like my care to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
Or my emotional like understanding to be reciprocated. So
don't need to whip out the balance sheet, but you want to feel at least that you're in a partnership.
It's not making someone as good as me.
Yeah.
No. It's more like,
Well, how could...
Yeah. But if anything, I like the idea of like iron sharpen ironing. Again, that's a biblical concept, but I mean, that's probably everywhere. But like, let's partner together and let's synergistic benefit.
Yeah.
Because I know, again, the humble idea that you don't know so many things. You're going to bring so much value into my life. You will. Of course. Like, I mean, I could bring value to you. Let's do this together and grow.
Yeah.
Like, that's the idea of my relationship.
Yeah.
I haven't had that yet. So I don't know if that's possible. It probably is. Like, I do have so many synergies. Like, with you, we think things through, and like there's so many things I've learned from you, and I'm hoping that I've given you things as well. Like that's a synergistic relationship in my view.
Yeah.
Like
it's like you put in a energy or a love or a time token, and you get more back. It's a good investment.
Yeah. Well, we're both getting more back. We're both putting one in and getting three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So, but look, now with girls, like I went on the whole like, for ages after that, especially because the whole religion thing, like I was so ashamed of like partners or like, and I had so much baggage from like this girl.
Because were you in the full Christian mindset, like I need to marry this girl?
Yeah, no sex before marriage. Like I didn't have sex with my partner. Like,
really? Yeah. So that girlfriend, you did not have sex with her?
Afterwards.
After leaving the church, there was still a bit of a grey zone.
Oh man, I was so confused.
So basically you left the church to fuck your girlfriend.
Pretty much.
That's what
that's on camera. No, but like so like I went through this whole period of like just sleeping with people. Yeah, pretty much. Like I went through this period of just sleeping with people just so like I could combat that ingrained thing in my
so that
the guilt.
Unraveling that God guilt and like anxiety is you're doing that by
And I felt so bad.
yeah.
And like I also felt bad because I felt like I was using people.
Was there another way to do that looking back? Because I'm sure you don't regret it because it's led you to here, but like if you could truthfully have the ear of yourself then, like is there another way?
I mean, it's really time that healed it.
Yeah.
As opposed to girls.
Yeah.
You know, it is. But like, it's not that I needed sexual partners, but I did need those partners.
Intimate partners.
Yeah, to just be like, just have that kind of relationship with.
Yeah.
But often the focal point of those relationships was sex. So like, just to like,
yeah.
So yeah. But like, it's not until recently that I've had more, because this whole dating thing, like even when I was overseas, it was just like sex. And like, I started like resenting that. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like sleeping with people one night stands does suck. It's so unnatural. It just, it's just like, there's no
there's
connection.
These physical bonds and you just screwing your
mind.
Brain chemistry.
Oh, I totally agree. So like, oh, well, I mean like, yeah, like that part of it, I would leave behind. But then again, like I was so anxious, I don't even think I could have been in a relationship. Or like not been in a relationship. I could have actually.
And you're not going to have sex with your Bible, so like.
Yeah. No, I definitely could have been in a relationship, but like I always perform in everything I do, for example. And like I felt if I went into a relationship, I'd be taking.
Yeah.
Whoa. Like that's not me. Like if I'm in it, like I'm giving to this.
Yeah.
I'm building you up, you're building me up, we're good. But if you were just building me up and I was just like anxious person, like I would struggle.
Yeah. I get where you are. Yeah.
So I just had to like go in the cave, like stop.
But again, like many people are unwilling to do that and say that to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just go to a relationship and just carry baggage and I did not want to do that.
Yeah.
And I probably couldn't have, like, because like, again, I was a bit nervous to talk to girls as well. So like, I was like, I mean, there were definitely like a couple like people, but like,
there'd be figures in your head right now that are floating around like, I tossed up the idea.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you know, but like it just never worked out.
Yeah.
And then anyway, and then present, like I went on Hinge for a bit, the last like couple months actually.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, like I am working all the time. Like I actually probably got to find a girlfriend now.
Yeah.
And that was like actually probably the most restorative part of that journey.
Nice.
It was actually the past couple months where like I set myself a goal, like no sex until after 5 dates, minimum.
Okay.
Minimum.
Wow, nice.
Which like kind of teeted that line.
Yeah.
But like, it was really good. Like just going on heaps of dates.
Yeah.
And just like, like just getting to know people.
And it's not
getting rejected.
It's not
and
getting like it's not having sex with heaps of people, but it's still going on heaps of dates and having that romantic, intimate connection.
Exactly. And I think actually, you know what? Going back, I wish I did that.
Yeah.
Just like going on dates, not sleeping.
Because I think that's what a lot of, and I definitely include myself in this, like, because there's so much association, and this is, and again, another story you just got in your head of like going on dates and having heaps of girls in your life with sex. I've certainly been someone who's always been very anti like that one night stuff, that casual stuff, as we just described. But I've conflated the two as the same thing. So I've never been on like going on dates and stuff. And I think I'm glad you said that, because I think that's very sound advice. And
well, it's really confidence building, or like it's really like character building, I guess. Like I just like, now I'm like super comfortable with girls. Like I'm really proud of myself, because I reckon that was like one of the things I've been anxious with for ages in my life. Like that's gone. Like, you know, bit of like naive young brain, but like what's stopping me from anything? Nothing. I've overcome everything. That's how my mindset.
That's right. Like, now this is late 2024.
Yeah. But every fear that
pick you up in a year or two.
I feel like fear that I've had, like especially the whole church thing and that anxious thing, that was incredibly dark and difficult. Like I've overcome that. So I don't know, but look, going to the whole girls thing now, like, I mean, like there were a couple of people that I was seeing, And now like seeing no one.
Yeah.
I'm not really talking to anyone. And
You've
like,
got that clarity, that certainty.
yeah. I'm just like, I'm so okay with it. Like a bit like, I was thinking about it the other day after talking to you actually, for the first time in weeks. I was like, should I like go see someone again? Or like, no, like, am I going to lose this?
Yeah, that's a great place to be in, because that's a stable base foundation to build the kind of relationship you actually want.
Exactly. And now I've got this like feeling or like this confidence of like, okay, I'm probably going to find the girl that I've really been looking for now, or the girls, that section of people that like,
you're going to start to be toning in a bit. You've been kind of like looking at everything in a sense, and
and that just, and all that is, it's really the comfort in myself. So yeah, like I'm just chilling.
Well, that's huge value for me, and I'm sure there's many people who would say the same thing. Now, this is like an interesting one. When have you felt your soul singing the loudest?
Interesting question. The loudest. It's probably at church.
Yeah.
Probably.
So is there a way, and I guess this is maybe just harping on the same stuff we've been talking about, but like, do you want to actually go back to that? Like, it's just a light's coming out of me, but obviously it's down on earth, not up in the clouds. Is that the goal? Is that the destination?
I mean, look, the soul's singing again now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm on fire.
Yeah.
In life.
Yeah.
Like, things are like, I've been investing for so long that like fruits are starting to sprout, you know? So like, it doesn't need to be church.
Yeah.
I've realized that. I'd love to go back. I've got I do actually have some like inhibition because like I do feel anxious going back to church. Like, seeing some people again, it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But like, that's okay.
Well, we saw those people the other day at, after EQ.
That was fine.
Yeah, and they were churchies, but you seemed great with them.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Just go to say hi and
yeah,
like I'd so catch up with those guys. But like, I mean, we could have said church, but that was because I was really on fire. Like, and even like now, I'm singing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty up and down at the moment because like I'm grinding and then like, oh my God, there's way too much on my plate. And then like, no, we're getting it done. And then it's like, oh my God, but like there's so much fire. And then like, so that's currently where I'm at, but it's starting to smooth out slowly.
Cool. So, because I see that like as an outsider, but close. So how are you finding that, bridging that gap? And we're talking about religion and not, but in terms of, I think, two key facets of you and me are like business and adventure. How you actually, what's the bridge? Like what's going on there?
So is religion adventure?
Business
and
adventure.
Oh, yeah.
No, religion's not adventure. I'm talking like going naked in waterfalls like we did the other week.
Oh, yeah.
Or like building a bloody Fortune 500 company. like how are we gonna, or how do you see yourself holding those two spaces without one getting sacrificed to the other?
I mean...
Or is that kind of your plan, to sacrifice one to the other?
I think the central theme is send.
Yeah.
I think that's the central theme. The space and capacity which I send in, it's just like the vehicle of the adventure. I think both is actually an adventure in my mind.
Sure.
So this business thing that I'm doing, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like it's growing. Like good things are happening. The team's building. The culture's rising. Like you kind of get that air. Like we're growing.
Yeah.
Like slowly, each push of this big boulder, it's starting to speed and start going downhill, and like it's almost like I'm hardly even pushing it anymore. It's starting to roll.
Yeah.
You know, and that's again I'm working with my dad, so like he's been pushing the boulder on his own for ages.
20, 30 years.
Just thrusting this big boulder.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hell yeah. And it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
So that to me, awesome adventure. And I'm keen to see where that goes. Then there's an adventure and travel. I'm like, I see that as the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just have fun.
Yep.
Like there's no, like this morning I woke up before this podcast and started work.
Yeah.
I started writing because we don't really have great like onboarding process.
Okay.
I'm creating an onboarding process that's like, I want to start developing people or like really seeing them grow. I want them to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Which is like the company hasn't really seen before.
Yes.
It's like just work and
6 months later,
you're kind of doing well. I'm like, no, I want a month.
Yeah.
I want this, and I want to see you flourishing in your best capacity.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, and that to me is exciting. It's exhilarating.
Yeah.
It's freaking stimulating.
Yeah.
So my balance is really, it's adventure, which is business and roaming and
So it's
all
the
that.
same thing.
So to me, that's the same thing, but then it's the care, softness and generosity.
Okay.
Because I think that's the, is it antonym or like the weight?
Yeah.
It's like, how do I maintain?
Those are the balance of the scales that you need to do.
Yeah. How do I continue to be generous to the people around me and the people I want to love around the world? How do I do that when I'm so focused on this?
And the nature of sending it can be in like, you're in a bit of a huff and you don't have time or energy for people. Like,
Well, no, I'm sending.
yeah, exactly.
For care, you need to stop. Like you can't, you're not loving people running.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I did this awesome marathon. That's you.
Yeah.
Like that's not helping someone that needs food or is hungry. Oh yeah, but I raised money for people. Like no, that was you.
Yeah.
Like it was just money. Like who's actually putting the food in the mouth?
That's another
Just
thing.
because you're raising money doesn't mean you're doing it.
Yeah, that's another thing really brought to my attention because I think the nature of sending adventure, big business, it's like it really serves well an outside ring of kind of strangers because it might inspire them if you put videos of your things or it might employ them or like give them a great service. So like the outside world is really served well by your send.
Yeah.
But the inner circles, the inner worlds of family and friends are sacrificed to that in a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, she really well like kind of painted that picture. So I guess maybe that's the better question. Like, how are you planning to give to both?
Exactly.
That's the question.
I mean, like, for example, like we're going on a holiday at the end of the year
Yeah.
to South America. We're going to be sending. I'm going to be spending no time like,
Call them back home.
well, like no, like not just that, but like I think of more like generosity, like to the world at large. Like, how am I helping kids with cancer, or how am I, like I want to do something great for people.
Yeah.
Because remember, you love the people inner, and I feel like I've got that pretty down pat. Okay, how are we loving more?
Yeah.
Because that's like, again, I want that to be a central theme of my life. It's so like incredibly beautiful. I think to me, that gives me so much meaning and value. And I think gives so much other people meaning and value. We're creating this big business, like for what means and what end?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I mean, again, exhilarating, fun, they're definitely wise. But like, how are we directing this money? And, because if I'm going to be a faithful steward of like what's been given to me, okay, this amazing opportunity, then how am I directing it? How am I moving the chess pieces?
Yeah.
Do I just move it in the form of helicopters, boats, fucking like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, no.
Shit moves.
Yeah.
Like boring. Let's do something amazing, so that's my balance.
Yeah.
And really this is lacking at the moment. I was thinking about it even last night. I was looking at my goals board. It does say start a practice of generosity. It does say give at least once a week. I've not started that.
Yeah.
I've not found my cause that really burns and impassions me, or whatever the word is, right? So like, I want to find that. And I think it will probably have to do something with kids. Why? Because in my family, I've been like one of the oldest cousins, and I've always loved taking after my kid, they're my kids, man. Or like they're my little brothers and sisters,
Yeah. Well, for now, while you're focusing on the other stuff, does it need to be that fiery burning, or can you just give $50 a week to some kids charity?
It'll end up being that.
Yeah. For now, like while you're doing the first mountain, don't get distracted by the second mountain. Building your own charity.
Exactly. Oh, I really want to build my own charity one
know,
day. But like, that is like we're getting this boulder moving.
Yeah.
Like it's still not where I want it.
No.
The one thing I'm slightly concerned about is when will it be where I want it to be?
Yeah.
Where's the end
Because you
point?
keep on moving the goalpost.
Yeah, I was like, I might just keep on moving this goalpost.
Yeah.
I gotta be, but I'm very conscious of that.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of that fact. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it when
I can't see a version of Xav that is a billionaire and is sitting at the table saying, I just need more money.
Yeah.
I just can't see that.
I don't think that's going to be me either.
Yeah.
So, because again, like, you know, you got to introduce money like smoothly. You can't introduce big lump sums. So I can't just wait till I'm mega rich and then introduce big lump sum to charity. They'll be super inefficient. Like, you need to build this up and then start building this up as well to grow in line with the company and the cash flows that are coming. Otherwise, it'll be wrecked.
Yeah.
$1 billion crushes poor people. Like, it just does.
Yeah.
Why? Because you got to know how to manage that money.
Yeah.
You can't just like do it.
Yeah, very true.
So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Nice. Saying all this, why did you actually start a podcast?
Why did I start a podcast? El Patoso.
What's that? El Patoso?
El Patoso. Yeah. It's like the name we created for our group.
Okay.
Me and the guys overseas.
Okay, nice.
It's like, I think it means like stumbling or walking into something.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Like, well, there we are.
Nice, there you go.
But like, clumsy journey, I think. Check it up.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Anyway, so we started a podcast because we were out one night on our road trip. We were
Our all good podcast start.
Yeah. We were on a road trip and we were just talking in Madrid, just, you know, sipping sangria and whatever. And then one of the guys was like, hey, like, yeah, it's like, we should start a podcast. And we're like, that is such a good idea.
This is the most cliche image.
Like,
he's been thinking about that for a long time as well. Like,
mate, probably.
Yeah.
He's wanted to start one for ages. And then we got my notes out, started to write ideas, and like it started off with like differences of girls and guys. Like, it was so like such a base level podcast. But no, and then like it was one of those ideas where like you never expect it to follow through.
Yeah.
But because we're follow throughers, we followed it through.
Yeah. You don't want to be like talking about it the next time you're at the pub in Barcelona this time, and you're like, oh yeah,
we never started. Yeah. But it was me and my friends overseas who now lives in Chile and Spain. And we started this podcast. I mean, really, it's just been an awesome way to keep in contact.
Yeah.
Like, it's just us having a chat scheduled every 2 weeks or
It's genius.
like, it's so awesome.
Because otherwise those kind of friendships so easy to atrophy.
Yeah, they would have atrophied, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I love those guys, and they know that. But now I'm going to go see them in Chile.
Yeah.
Like, and we're going to go hike
both of
Patagonia
them.
together.
Is the Spanish one coming as
I think
well?
he's coming over. He's going to be coming to Brazil New Year's.
Oh,
So it's just going to be so many people. I'm so excited.
yeah, that's going to be a very big, like, you the central kind of person trip.
Great.
Yeah.
It's just, I just can't wait for everyone to meet each other and so many different perspectives of me and the world to like just form in this one group.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Awesome. I've got a weird to word question, but if you imagine you had like unlimited resources, but you had to spend it on like a social science experiment. And I'm not a social scientist, so I don't really know how they work. But essentially, if you could ask one question like, where does procrastination come from? Or some shit like this, like, you know, something about the human condition, the human brain and psychology that is kind of a mystery to you at least. Like, what if you could find somewhat of an answer and ask 8 billion people and figure it out? What would you actually want to know? What mystery of the human condition do you want to unveil?
It's got to be, for me, it's got to be about either love or morality. Because they're so important. It's got to be about either one of those two.
And I guess what would you be trying to lock in on like a universal answer that you can hold to everyone, being like, this is how we should be moral? Or is it just a curiosity thing? Like,
the thing is, like, you got to process all that data, and there's going to be so many different answers.
That's what I mean. You have unlimited resources.
Like you've got the answer.
And it might not be one answer. It might just be like you had the graph of like where it sits, like what the situation.
Or you have the understanding and the interpretation of whatever the answers may be.
Yeah.
Got it. like, would I ask what is good and bad? Like but then I want to ask what is love, because that's so much more like, what is good and bad is like the life is examined. Like you figured it out. What is love is like you've just brought passion and you've brought love.
Because it's such a mystery, isn't it?
It's such a mystery, and like everyone thinks about that differently. I'd probably ask that, what does love mean to you?
Yeah.
And then...
So every 8 billion people will get a little text in whatever language. What does love mean to you? And they have to put in these brain things and then answer.
Because I guess, if I'm really going to side with this idea of it's okay not to know, then I got to let go of the good and bad one.
Yeah.
Because that's always going to be unknown.
Yeah.
You have to leave that in that category.
Well, there's always going to be people who interpret the exact same thing as good or bad.
Yeah. So we're going to leave that away. And then we're going to go with the more beautiful one, I think.
Yeah.
Or the more like, that's going to serve me and my soul.
Yeah.
And everyone around me.
Do you personally attach, or how much value and weight do you attach to beauty in life?
Like physical attraction?
Beauty, just...
A lot.
The ancient Greeks would revere to a certain extent a beautiful person, for instance, just because of that. Like it's like a virtue. You know, the old buildings compared to how they build them now were very aesthetic. It was actually held up as a priority. Where do you sit with that stuff?
I'm definitely on the other side of the spectrum.
As in, you don't think beauty is as relevant?
One of my friends, we'll use that example. One of my friends, the first time I ever met him, one of the guys from church actually, he's about like 5'1".
Mm-hmm.
So by beauty standards, that's not a beautiful trait.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Right. First thing I meet him, someone's giving him shit for his height. Like he's like they were saying something and he's like, but bro, you're like tiny. And everyone was laughing. And he just laughed too and walked away. And the way he did it, I could tell he was so comfortable with his height. And I'm like, I want to get to know this guy. To me, that was beautiful. It was the idea of like being okay with not beauty. Because I think that personality trait is so incredible. Being okay like with what to let go of all these like strong social pressures and like have a strong belief or like assuredness in yourself.
Yeah.
And then therefore like still being kind. I'm like, whoa.
I think we see that. I think all guys will recognize that in girls of like, yes, you can get distracted, but essentially someone who's living their life and letting the love shine out is so much more attractive and beautiful than like someone who's like, you know, plastic surgery, makeup, all this stuff. It's like,
it's so not beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, and I know like that would probably hurt a lot of people, but like, it just shows such a strong discontent with who you are in my mind.
And I guess what you say by who you are is like that soul, that divine essence. And that is the most powerful, pure, beautiful part about any human. So if you're sacrificing that being shining out to everyone because you're putting on conditions and standards and whatnot, you're a fool.
I think so.
Because that's the fundamental beauty, that light that beams out of you.
Totally agree. But that's like, I think again, that comes to my definition of what is you. But really like, you know, your bones and that is a part of you, that idea of you. But I just think the value I place on it is in there. And again, like I love my dad, he has like the oddest friends, like the weirdest blokes.
I mean, you're talking about someone who does what, pigeons?
He races pigeons. He's just like, again, I probably got the trait off him of like the whole not caring thing about what other people think. Like he races pigeons, loves his pigeons, doesn't care what anyone thinks. Like it's just what he's doing, you know? But one thing I noticed early on, he's got some really kooky friends. And like, especially for like a really successful businessman, but like very traditional as well. I'm like, what's...
Yeah, there's like a homeless guy like that.
Just like... But he's like, he gets like really like excited about his mates as well. I'm like, what? Like, but I realized, I'm like, he just cares about the person. It doesn't matter the form that it takes. And I'm like, I love that. I agree. Like, I don't care about the form. The only form I do care about is probably my girl partner.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all my mates and stuff, like,
Yeah. They can come in any shape and size.
they can come. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
well, if I've probably like been friends with maybe less attractive people at times because generally they don't like they take off all those like pressures.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd be weighed down.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So like they had to get taught from a young age, be like, that's not valuable.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, like you're amazing. Like, let's chat.
Yeah.
But then this like awesome dude, you know, like whatever, who's like puts so much value on his like biceps. I'm like, I don't give a shit, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, tell me something I care about.
Yeah. And suddenly there's not much under the biceps.
Yeah. And then we just don't want to chat. Or like, I'm just like,
Yeah, for sure.
you're nice. Like, we can chat if you want. But
No, very cool.
yeah.
All right, I've got one last little kind of wrap-up question, and this is like, I think this is bringing me into the frame. There's been many times where I'm doing weird things that are different and whatnot, and I guess I've often not had clarity and certainty in these things. I've had feelings and intuitions and whatnot. I certainly don't have, and this is not to blame anyone, but I don't think I have quite as much of that central circle as you might, and certainly not in the direction I tend to want to go, right? Now, I was actually thinking last night, have been, in many points, like one of the only voices that's actually strong that says, no, like basically follow your heart in a sense. I think like there's a lot of voices that might say that, but like, they're kind of saying it just because, like, not that they just actually don't care or don't know.
This is the wisdom that is out there.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
They're just saying it. They're not really invested in it, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? They're not invested in the results. So they say something, but it actually doesn't have impact. And there's a few other voices that like are invested in the result and say something that's different. But actually, when I think back to it, like, I mean, not that it wouldn't have happened otherwise, but, you know, doing the freedom school, doing other things, not doing this, doing that, like, you actually as an individual in my life have been probably one of the best life coaches, right?
Thank you.
No, thank you, right? So I really appreciate that. Is that a position you would say you hold in a lot of other people's lives as well? Is it you? Is it me? Is it like, what's going on there?
Good question. I mean, it depends. It really depends like who I'm with.
Yeah.
And the kind of the mind that they have, I guess. Like, for example, like I got some friends that like I can tell like they don't really rely on me whatsoever. That's fine. Like that's so okay. And that's probably often because I think very different to them.
Yeah.
So like I'm not the person that would be the best coach for them.
Yeah.
You know, because some of the things I've even told you today, like the whole beauty standard thing, like they would like be like, no, you're so wrong, blah. So I'm like, yeah, okay, like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's just gonna be in like. It's
I mean,
not relevant.
I want to tell them, be like, look, you're actually being dishonest with yourself, but sure, like, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, like, peace.
Yeah.
You know, but there are definitely some friends that I do have that with and for.
Yeah.
Actually, a fair bit, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's really a two-way street.
Yeah.
Especially with those individuals at the moment. I mean, yeah, I had it more at church as well because I had more leadership positions and stuff. But now at work, it's starting to become a thing as well. Starting to become the manager, all that kind of stuff. People are looking up to me, but will also come to me. I mean, that's becoming a norm for them. And I'm so like, I'm really excited to embark more on the emotional stuff as opposed to just like, this is how you do the job.
Yeah.
You know? So I actually do have that with a couple of people.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's growing. Because again, for 3 years there, I was like, I needed to sort myself out.
Yeah.
So prior to that, I'd say 100% yes.
Yeah.
In that period, not at all. I didn't have any energy to give.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that I can,
Yeah, absolutely.
be a voice for consideration in
Yeah.
your mind, which is good. But I mean, you as well, like, I mean, you're going to ask I've seen you do it. Like ask multiple people. If you've got a big decision in front of you,
Yeah.
be like, okay,
I get
which
like the
voices do I
15
want?
people.
Yeah, like, and you just like make calls.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good trait. Something I probably don't do. I'm
Yeah.
just, like, I know what to do.
Just a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not smart. But yeah, no, that's really good.
Cool.
It's really good.
Oh, well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, that was really good podcast.
Yeah. Look at this. There's a little hair that's into a Christian fish.
Wow.
That's
Mate.
serendipitous, the right word? I don't know.
I don't know. You saw Christian fish. I don't know what I saw. I think I saw a ribbon.
From my like thing, because you're.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw like the cancer ribbon, the Cancer Council.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
But no, that was really good. Thanks for the free therapy.
Yeah.
I
Likewise.
feel so. Yeah, it's good. One thing I love is like when you're voicing these things out, I feel like I'm learning myself. Like,
because like I always say this, like, and that's why I'm always on the phone when I'm in those periods, because you have such a haze in your head, and like you only have the information to work with that you've experienced and you've taken in, so it kind of rumbles around, and it's also like hazy because your thoughts.
Yeah.
When you have to channel them into the English language, the English language is pretty limiting in a certain sense, right?
Agreed.
You can't just have these. You can't just have these vague thoughts. You have to actually like put it into words that someone else can digest. So you have to actually make it clear enough for someone who hasn't been thinking about this for days and days. They have to understand it as best as they can.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose it in translation. So therefore, by using that, like it gets clarity, and then it's kind of either on the page journaling or like speaking it and you're hearing it back. You kind of have it chaos, so you put it into order, and then you can reread it.
This is such a good point I've never thought of.
Yeah.
So good. And the fact I love that you said that the English language is limiting. That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a colorful language as well, but like, and that just like prompts me like, like let's learn so much more words, because then like you can really express. I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But that's like,
Yeah.
that's why journaling, and that's why talking to people is so just clarifying and whatnot, because it just avoids those like mills in your head, you know,
like digesting information.
and you redigest it back. You know, it's kind of like I put it out and then I take it back, and it's like it's filtering it out.
That's a bit of a meta skill.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking this in terms of like the business. Like, how do you like, because like reporting is such a fundamental part of like financial planning. And what I've realized is that like a lot of these softwares that you pay big bucks for, all they do is report.
Yeah.
And balance sheets.
Because they're, again, taking all this chaos of numbers and data and what happened in the markets and shit, and they just make it English.
That it's just digesting.
Yeah.
So if you create a digesting system.
It's a digestive tract.
Yeah, that's so good.
And I think emotionally, journaling and talking to good people
the emotional digestion
is the digestive tract of emotions.
Emotional digestion. I like that.
It's a good term. That's a weird term.
That's a weird term. Yeah, but like it's a bit like, ooh.
All right, shall we leave them on that?
Yep, thanks for having me.
Episode 1.
Episode 1 done.
That was a passion inquiry into Xav.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that can be claimed as.